going to go ahead and get started with our talk, how to give back, volunteering, trail maintenance, cleanups, and more. And today's talk is sponsored by TechNew, the outdoor itch experts of the 52 Hike Challenge, REI, the outdoor retailer of the 52 Hike Challenge. We're really grateful to them and we appreciate all their support this year. We actually have one talk left and we will give you more details about that. That talk is happening next week. All right, so we're gonna go get ready to share our screen. Perfect. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get started. So while we were preparing this conversation for you guys today, there were so many different resources out there. And one of the things where, when I was doing some research, is that, you know, there's always this conversation piece about there being a lack of resources and funding for really maintaining our trails. And so I took this quote here from AmericanTrails.org, which said, "The Forest Service has more miles of trails than it has been able to maintain, resulting in a persistent maintenance backlog with a range of negative effects." So obviously we are here to help you to get outdoors, and the trails provide so much for us. And you know, I remember being on the John Muir Trail and thinking to myself, like, how did we even get this trail made? And I'm so grateful to those that have spent their time and energy creating these trails for people like us who are recreating on them. So how do we give back? You know, we definitely want to make that a part of your challenge here, is to become a trail steward and help take care of those trails that we love and we all appreciate so much. So our presentation today is really going to give you a lot of different resources, a lot of different tools and organizations you can follow to help to give back to the trails we love, and different ways that you can actually do your part. So without further ado, let's talk about these opportunities.
So this is kind of a light agenda of what we're going to be talking about. And it kind of goes in, I'd say, in order of, easiest to, full on commitment. Whereas we're going to show you some different trail cleanups that you can join, some different organizations. It could be one-day cleanups, as well as some of the trail maintenance. And I'll talk about my experience with that. As Carla mentioned, she'll be talking about the organizations. There's also opportunity to get involved as being a part of a camp or park host, and as well as volunteering to work in the visitor center, do some of the interpretation, and also get involved with, if you have a very large skill set, get involved with search and rescue. All right, so trail cleanups. So here's a date for you to mark on your calendar: September 17th, 2022, coming up next year. So this is going to be National Cleanup Day. You're able to join different variety of organizations. A lot of people are going to be going out and cleaning up on that day, and this would be a great opportunity to join. You can check out earthday.org as well and kind of see a little bit more, but you'll see in the organizations that we mentioned, they will be promoting this day, but go ahead and mark that in your calendar.
All right, so as Philip mentioned earlier, during these events, you can actually host your own events if you'd like. We've actually hosted them for Opt Outside and things of that sort. So there was a time where REI had Opt to Act, which was, we went out the day after Thanksgiving and we actually did some trail maintenance. So being someone who we both have participation in these types of events, and we want to help you to feel safe and comfortable to create your own, we've put together some tips on how to do that. So if you want to host your own cleanup, you're definitely going to want to pick a safe and a spot that you're going to clean up. For example, it could be a beach, it could be a park, streams, etc. But when you do pick your location, you're going to want to go ahead and call and speak with the ranger to find out details like, do I need permits? How many people can I bring along? So a good rule of thumb is to have less than 10 participants. That usually is fine. For example, our local park here, they're totally fine with us hosting events as long as there's no sort of payment fee, etc. You're good to go. And then after you do that, you're definitely going to want to get your event up, whether you decide to host that on Facebook or you decide to host that through Eventbrite. Invite your friends and family to come and join you. I mean, that's part of the fun. And once you've done that, you definitely want to have a plan of like, you know, where are we going to dispose these items? Like locate your local, you know, trash cans. And also depending on what you're picking up, you're going to want to understand if there's other places where you need to recycle those specific materials. I remember when we went for a local cleanup and we found like a tire. So thankfully we had a host who had that all squared away and she knew where to take it.
Yeah, the parks will be able to advise you if there's a trash or recycle bin near the premise or what to do with it. So when you call them to ask for permission and let them know about what you're planning on doing, also let them know what do you do with the trash that you pick up.
So once you've done that, I mean, we've put some resources here. There's some recycling guidelines. You can look up earth911.org and EPA, and those are great resources to help you to figure out like how do I get rid of this stuff that I've picked up? How do I dispose of it properly? In addition, you're going to want to gather your supplies, you know, your trash bags. I like buying biodegradable bags because obviously I'm trying to do my part. So it's up to you, but make sure you have sturdy bags, work gloves, those grabber tools, which are awesome. And don't forget the hand sanitizer, especially with, you know, everything that we're currently going through with this pandemic. You definitely want to make sure of that. And before the day before your event, and even a few days prior, you're always going to want to make sure to check the weather and make sure that check the weather and make sure that the weather is favorable and also that your park is going to be open during that time, because there are certain parks that are not open when there is adverse weather. So make sure to dress for the occasion. Make sure that you have long pants, long sleeve shirt, hat, sunscreen, any insect repellent, depending on where you're working.
Closed-toe shoes for sure, boots. Yeah, I definitely recommend, you know, you're outside, you're going to be out there for a couple hours. And while you're maybe not so-called hiking, you're actually going to be out there under the elements. So still remember to put sunscreen on and sunblock, all that stuff.
And obviously don't forget your snacks and water. However, depending on if you're going with an organization, they may provide some of these treats for you. So yeah, this was also an event, this picture here, this was an event by one of our, you know, volunteers that hosted a cleanup hike for 52 Hike Challenge. And that was really awesome to see. I think they even got coverage in the news. So as you can see, they went to Stony Park here in Southern California, and they picked up a lot of trash. So you're going to feel good. You're getting the community out there. You're giving back to the trails, making it better than what you found it. So obviously one of the most important things when you're actually on the day of the event, you want to make sure that you advise everyone, like pick up stuff that, you know, obviously is not a hazard, but you are going to come across glass. I know that in a lot of the maintenance projects I've done, I've seen glass. And so unless I can safely pick it up, we always say when in doubt, leave it alone. That includes other hazardous items. So if you are going to pick up any glass, you want to make sure you have some sort of a solid container to keep that in so that, you know, when the trash and maintenance people are picking stuff up, they're not getting cut as well. And obviously that goes without saying, you're going to want to wash your hands when you're done with your trash cleanup.
Carla mentioned the grabber. I like the little grabber.
Yeah.
It's the extender, and you can kind of squeeze it and it pinches. It's really neat. And anyway, also doubles for a little dog, you know, retrieval toy thing.
So yeah, I mean, when you're done with your event, you're going to want to know where your local restrooms are so that everyone can go wash their hands, and also ensure that, you know, everyone feels comfortable before you give them any snacks or beverages. So that's a part of being kind, you know, people who came out, like just having a little treat for them as a thank you. And then don't forget to share your pictures, not only with us, but also with, you know, your friends, because when you're getting out there and you're cleaning up, you're inspiring other people to do the same. And a big thing, you know, we've done a lot of talks around leave no trace. A lot of times people just don't realize what they're doing. So it's always a great example for them to see that you're taking care of the trails, and that you're saying like, hey, you know, make sure to leave no trace. So.
All right. So trail stewardship. I really enjoyed this. This is where you're working on a maintenance project where you're actually rebuilding the trail. And in this case, you know, I just showed up and they already had the tools ready. You know, they already had the designated trail that we're going to work on. And I just signed up with the organization. This was Laguna Canyon Foundation. And they just said, okay, just your group show up at this time. And we did. And just like Carla mentioned, they had some snacks and some other things for us. And it was just a ton of fun to actually fill up some of those sandbags and, you know, put them in different areas and just really work on that and really make a difference on that trail, and recognizing, you know, how the water system works such that when it rains, you know, you want, you know, the trail in a certain way so that, you know, you don't get those streams and, you know, divots that are created from the water runoff. So anyway, really cool to learn about that, and just really good feeling to get back.
Other things that you can do with the trail stewardship, and we're just going to briefly touch on, is, and I know we're going to talk about it on the next slide actually, is, you know, you're going to be doing plant removal and pruning of vegetation. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been on a trail, but where all of a sudden there's overgrowth. Guess who's taking care of that? It's volunteers. Yeah. So
yeah, so just as I was mentioning earlier, you just kind of show up and they're going to have the right tools for you, and they're going to show you the right way of actually handling the tools and doing the work. So some of that could include some of the native plant enhancement, plant removal, some different habitat restoration. So the parks will actually have that scheduled. You don't do that on your own.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about how to find these volunteer opportunities. So I would recommend you start with your local and state parks. So if there's a park you're going to often, go on their website, and usually on their website there should be a little link that says like volunteer or something along those lines. If they don't do it, a lot of times their nonprofit fundraising arm or their nonprofit arm does run these programs. So find out who handles that. You can pick up the phone and call them. Something else you can do is, you know, a lot of these things we're talking about is something that you physically go in and help with, right? But if you're not able to physically do that, you can always donate to that part of the park that handles these types of projects and maintenance. And again, the best way to do that is to pick up the phone and call and find out where should you donate so that it goes directly to the projects that are related to the trail park maintenance, etc. Other things we're going to show you a little bit more as we continue on is you can also look on the national park pages. However, I did learn that the national parks use a specific forum, actually website, for their positions and their volunteer positions, and I'll tell you more about that in a little bit here. All right, so some of these organizations are AmericanTrails.org, and what they do is they actually have tons of parks listed on their website who are looking for volunteers. So as you can see here, I attached a photo. You know, you can volunteer with like the Tahoe Rim Trail Association, with the ADK. So these are just some examples. You just go on their website and you'll be able to look up different trail parks. You can even, I believe on their website, it was on volunteer.org. You could look up by your state. So best thing to do is to go on these websites, write them down. And I also have we can add links to this, we can add links to the chat, and then you can take a look at some of these that we are going to list here in a few minutes. Another organization we really like is American Hiking Society, and we have actually worked with them. So they do their National Trails Day, and they like to partner with different organizations to put together these trail maintenance days, or not, like they want to give that component with that. So
they also have a volunteer vacation. So you can check that out, as well as a college alternative break. So you can, you know, do these things. A lot of people do them from all different age ranges, but you know, it's really cool to do it when you're younger as well. And anyway, I think it's really rewarding. It's really nice to see a lot of college campuses also get involved with some of the sustainability work.
And also, don't forget, like, this was actually really great. So there's advocacy work out there. So, you know, when there's people who are fighting to save parks, or people are fighting to pass some sort of they're trying to pass a bill. Okay, so people have to do that kind of work, and you can actually get involved with that if you'd like. Also, looking at American Hiking Society and all of their offerings. They're a great organization. Like I said, we've worked with them. We've led hikes on National Trails Day. So they're definitely a really good resource. They've been around for many, many years. So definitely take a look at that. And we're really grateful to them because they really do a lot of great work in this space. So I do have someone who not only completed the challenge, but she volunteered with us before. And I spoke with her as I was, you know, finalizing the presentation about, you know, how does one get involved with the national parks? She actually not only volunteers with the national parks, but she has become a park ranger. And so she confirmed that volunteer.org is the website you want to use when it comes to volunteering with the national parks. But if you look at this slide, not only is the national parks using this website pretty much exclusively, but it's also used by the BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, the U.S. Forest Service, as you could see, even the USGS. And I thought it was really cool that I saw that they're looking for people to help review and edit maps. So there's lots of opportunities out there. So for example, I did attach a couple of different opportunities here. So for example, you could see the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is looking for a camp host, and you have the details of the position, and then you apply directly through this website. Also, you could see there's some additional work here. The BLM is looking for someone to do some outreach. So that is a great website. You can look at it with, you know, different search search results. For example, like I want to look up only opportunities here in California, that will populate for you. Okay, some other really cool things. If you look on the national park pages, the actual national park pages, so for example, Joshua Tree NPS.gov, they usually under Get Involved will have a section that talks about volunteering. Now, in that specific page, they may have specific requests. So Joshua Tree was looking for photographers and was looking for people to help with search and rescue. So going directly to the local park page might give you some additional information on how you can volunteer directly with that park. But also don't forget to follow the Facebook pages. For example, the Santa Monica Mountains Recreation Area, on their Facebook page, they host things like plant restoration days, etc. So following along and checking in with their events is another great way to get involved on a more easier level. If you just kind of want to, sometimes you can do some events where you just show up on the day of, although with COVID, some of that may have changed. Which brings me to the drop-in volunteering. So for example, at Yosemite National Park, there are times that you can drop in and just show up to do whatever they need. So how do you figure that out? How do you find out? Usually when you show up, there's like a little magazine. You can look and see if they have anything in there, or go to their website. And like I said, we do have these links. I can add them to the chat window at the end of the conversation when we jump in. And yeah, so in addition to that, Yosemite Conservancy, who handles some of the fundraising for Yosemite National Park, also has other volunteer positions. For example, as you can see here, they have a volunteer art instructor, and then they have work crews, etc. So lots and lots and lots of opportunities depending on where you live and where you want to go and volunteer.
Okay, so becoming a park or camp host is also a very rewarding experience. This one is, so think of it this way, if you are looking to stay somewhere for free and you want to stay out there and actually kind of like work for an exchange, some of those duties, are listed here. But there's some collecting of fees and making sure that things are kept up as well. Making sure that people are following the rules. And, there's usually a minimum commitment in this regard, and it's in the order of a couple months. So usually 1 to 3 months with a maximum of about 6 months. So I think if you really want to be out there and you really want to enjoy the trails and, you're just looking for something just to, enjoy for a couple months, I think this might be a really cool thing. So check that out.
It also was something that I saw a lot of people that are retired are doing, people who are living in their RVs. So you never know, right? Like you just don't know until you get out there. So I was thinking like that could be such a fun way to spend, some time when you're, if you have an RV, you've got, I don't know, you could have a Sprinter van, and what a great way to not only give back, but have the ability to, have access to these parks.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so the visitor center is also an opportunity where you can volunteer as well. The visitor center, you're going to be working with the public, answering those questions, just talking about the different trails that are there and anything else that they may want to see and do while they're visiting that park. So if you enjoy working with the public, this is the position for you. Check it out.
All right, so a couple of years ago during the National Park Centennial, we were contacted by the Interpretation Department to come out and help promote some of the national monuments. People know that there's national parks, but there are so many more units in the national park, just in the Department of Parks. So there's things like national trails and monuments, as we mentioned earlier, just so many more different historical sites, so many more different places you can see, not only the national parks. And so the Interpretation Department really handles getting people to the park, but then also all those things that you can do at the park for free. Usually they have guided hikes, night walks. They have, they even put together events where you can, see the stars, things of that sort. So people who are interested in giving back in that way could do, could give back by hosting some of these talks, or sometimes even talks, even reenactments and demonstrations. So it's really, really great to see that, not only do you get to explore and help other people to explore the park, but you actually get to teach others. So really fun if you like interacting with other people and you want to show people a park.
All right, so search and rescue. We kind of save this one a little bit towards the end because the skills required are a bit extensive. And, not only are you really responsible for yourself, but for others as well. And this could be anything for, anybody who's fallen climber, as Carla mentioned, and actually this one that we're showcasing here is through Joshua Tree National Park Search and Rescue, JOSAR. And so there could be some missing hikers. There could be lots of different things. So you would want to make sure that with that park that you want to volunteer for and do search and rescue, that you meet those requirements. They're going to have a lot of requirements. Search and rescue is something that could be quite dangerous. Just want you to know, you're going out there, someone falls on something very, very steep, and maybe they're in a crack, and you have to safely be able to get down there yourself without creating more injury. So anyway, it's there are people that have been on search and rescue, and they are strong people, and it is something that you can volunteer and do. Again, just make sure you check in with all the requirements and make sure you're up to par to do it.
Yeah, Joshua Tree National Park, if you are interested in this, they actually will host a lot of the trainings to help you get up to par. And we recently did an event with Friends of Joshua Tree, and they themselves are a nonprofit who also train people to join the Joshua Tree search and rescue. So it was really great to actually see that back end of what it takes to actually become someone who is in search and rescue. We know people in our community that have this designation, and just being a safe hiker is one of the best ways to avoid not only you getting injured, but then also creating injury to another party, especially someone in search and rescue. So one of the things, I was speaking to someone else who is in search and rescue, and said the number one thing he gets called out for was due to dehydration. So make sure you always, especially in Joshua Tree, carry plenty of water, always have snacks, and make sure you have your map and compass or your map on your phone, and have a battery pack if you're gonna get out there. So let's talk a little bit about why volunteer. Not only does it feel good, but it's just such a great way to have access to these places we love, to see things in a different way. You also get to meet people that are like-minded. And so these are words from someone I've spoken to who volunteers, and they really just said it's such a enriching and fulfilling experience. So for us, we just want to always remind you, give back in one way, shape, or form, whether you're picking up trash, reminding people about the leave no trace rules, just educating your family, your friends, or whether you're going to go ahead and do the physical work. It's just awesome to be able to step out on that trail and to say, like, hey, I had a part in that. So.
All right. So we kind of went, we highlighted quite a few different things, and there are, of course, a lot more out there. But
there's a lot.
Why don't we answer any questions you have? So feel free to write something inside the chat.
And also, if you know of any opportunities, let us know in the chat that we didn't mention. I mean, there was so much, to be honest with you, there is so many opportunities. And that's the thing, you just don't know until you start searching. So if you have any other ideas on ways that the community can give back, please let us know. I have loved seeing the community put together even private events to fundraise. I think that's been really, really awesome. So so Lindsay Mercy said that if anyone in the Vegas area wants to volunteer with her through Friends of Red Rock, let her know. Yeah, I mean, that is really awesome. She says they do trail cleanups. I'm guessing she was going to say maybe trail maintenance, but yeah, I mean, trail monitoring, campground cleanup, and more. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for doing that and being such an amazing part of the community. Yeah, we just love to hear about you guys and what you're doing to give back to the trails. So feel free to share in the chat with us. And also wanted to share a couple of additional people who joined us. Marlene from Colorado, who is on Hike 49. Way to go, Marlene.
All right.
You're 2 away. Yay. And then we have Christine from Baltimore doing Hike 49 and 50 this weekend.
Almost
Way
there.
to go.
Sweet.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, as we were just getting ready to, we're leaving it open to questions, or if you have any information or any other volunteer opportunities for the community, let us know. We did speak to a couple of people in addition to Aliso and Wood Canyons, where we've volunteered before. And, again, they really appreciate even you showing up to their events that are not volunteer based, they said, is really, really great for them and helps them to keep those programs open. So whether you're showing up to a yoga hike or just one of their docent led programs, that really helps them to continue these events going.
All right, Ava has one.
Ava in Washington, they have a great organization, Volunteer for Washington Trails Association. Yep, I actually did see that today as well. They have a lot of opportunities. I believe it was the trails. I talked about it earlier. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and there's some resources here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to post them into the comments section. So that way we can all get to see these together for future reference. But you can find a lot of these opportunities this way. All right, so there's a lot of links in here, I know that, but let's go ahead and we'll just add a couple here.
All right, and while Carla is doing that, if anybody else has any other questions or comments, feel free to put those in the chat.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and see if we can quickly comment here. There's a lot, so I'm just gonna comment right now, and you'll just have to weed through all of those. All right, so we're just going to stay on for a few more minutes here and see if you have any other questions. Hopefully that was helpful in giving you some ideas as to how to give back to the trails. And
so it looks like Patty also has some information about a good place to find information on SAR training. So that's nasar.org. So check that out. Awesome.
anything else?
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and make this recording available for those of you who want to revisit it or those of you who want to share it. And we're going to make it available on our Facebook as well as our YouTube. So I just want to say thank you so much for all of you who joined us tonight, and really looking forward to the impact that we all make together. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.